The rain poured heavily over the battlefield, soaking the trenches where young soldiers lay, waiting for the next command. Private Daniel Carter clutched a letter in his trembling hands, his fingers stained with mud and gunpowder. The letter was from his younger sister, Emily, back home in a quiet town in Pennsylvania. "Dear Danny," it began, "Mom and I miss you so much. The town feels emptier without you. I pray every night for your safe return. Please come home soon." Daniel swallowed hard, his heart aching for home. He had been stationed in France for nearly a year, fighting in the trenches of World War II. The war had stripped away his innocence, leaving behind a hardened soldier where once stood a carefree boy. He had seen comrades fall, had heard the cries of wounded men, and had smelled the metallic scent of blood too many times to count. Tonight, the sky was dark, and the air was thick with the smell of rain and smoke. His unit had received orders to push forward at dawn, a final assault on the German forces occupying a small village ahead. The mission was dangerous, but necessary. "Carter," Sergeant Mitchell's gruff voice snapped him out of his thoughts. "Get some rest. We move out at first light." Daniel nodded, folding Emily's letter and tucking it safely into his uniform. He lay back against the cold, damp ground and tried to sleep, though the echoes of distant gunfire kept his mind alert. Dawn came too soon. The soldiers lined up, gripping their rifles tightly. The command was given, and they surged forward, charging through the rain and mud. Bullets whizzed past, some finding their mark. Explosions shook the ground as artillery fire rained down. Daniel ran, his heart pounding. He ducked behind a ruined stone wall, catching his breath. Around him, his fellow soldiers fought bravely, each determined to complete the mission. He spotted a German machine gun nest ahead, its fire cutting down his comrades mercilessly. "Cover me," he shouted to his friend, Corporal James. Without hesitation, James provided suppressing fire as Daniel sprinted forward, grenade in hand. He pulled the pin and hurled it towards the enemy position. The explosion sent debris flying, silencing the gunfire. Relief washed over him for a brief moment, until he felt a searing pain in his side. A bullet had found its mark. He stumbled, his vision blurring. He collapsed onto the muddy ground, his breath coming in ragged gasps. James was at his side in an instant. "Stay with me, Carter," he yelled, trying to stop the bleeding. Daniel's thoughts drifted to home, to Emily, to his mother waiting anxiously for his return. With trembling hands, he reached for the letter in his pocket and pressed it into James's palm. "Make sure she gets this," he whispered. Tears mixed with the rain on James's face as he nodded. "You'll tell her yourself, Danny. Just hang on." But Daniel knew the truth. As darkness closed in, he felt an odd sense of peace. The sounds of war faded, replaced by memories of laughter, of family, of home. With one final breath, he let go. Days later, back in Pennsylvania, Emily received a letter. Her hands shook as she unfolded it, recognizing her brother's handwriting. With tear-filled eyes, she read his last words. "Dear Emily, if you're reading this, it means I didn't make it home. But know that I fought with everything I had, not just for my country, but for you and Mom. I love you both more than words can say. Never forget me. Always be strong. Love, Danny." Tears rolled down her cheeks as she clutched the letter to her heart. Outside, the American flag waved gently in the wind, a reminder of the sacrifice Daniel had made. And though he was gone, his memory would live on forever.